The quickest way to change your life is change your environment. If you don't know me, my name is Jaden Lee Lua. This is my daily updates channel where I am going to be providing some sort of value, and then I'm going to be planning and strategizing in public, and then I'm going to be tracking my growth. Now, for this month of August, my goal is 5K followers on Instagram, 300 YouTube subscribers, 300 subscribers on this channel, and I'll go into how I plan on doing that in a second. But no fluff, just straight to the value. So we're going to be talking about the easiest way to change your life is change your environment. Now, this is a topic that hits super heavy for me. Fuck. Every single time, just because it's something that completely changed my life. And for the longest, I read all these self-help books and like all this stuff, but really it was my environment that was keeping me down. And if you feel kind of like the same way, you've tried a lot of things, I'm going to tell you firsthand from, proof, my social proof, that the easiest way to change your life is change your environment. Now, the first topic that we're going to be talking about is willpower. Willpower, what you have to understand, is a losing game. An environment wins by default. Now, what does that actually mean, though? So willpower is basically a daily battle you have to re-win every single day, and the environment is a battle you win once, right? All you have to do is change your environment once, but when you try to use your willpower, say you are trying to quit smoking weed, for example, and you have weed on your desk every single day, you literally using your willpower to try to fight that. Now, changing your environment would simply be just throwing the weed away or giving it away or putting it in the closet that you don't have to see it every single day. Now, that was probably a terrible example, but hopefully you get the point that I was trying to draw across. If it's not in front of you, if it's in front of you, you are simply using your willpower. And if you change your environment, you only have to do that once. And that's a battle you have to fight once. It's like throwing it away. You only fight that battle and then you're good. Right? The person who doesn't keep junk food in the house doesn't resist it, right? There's nothing to resist. So this goes back to my example that I was providing about, the gas or whatever, the weed. The same exact thing can apply for anything, right? Junk food, energy drinks, right? If you don't keep them in the house, then there's nothing to resist, right? Because they're not even there. You're adding so much friction to go and get the junk food or go and get the gas or do all these things. And that is the whole cheat code, right? Just remove the entire decision and not the temptation to do it, right? Because you're literally tempting yourself if you have junk food in the house, or you can apply this to anything, right? With the example that I used. That's the first example. Is willpower is a losing game and your environment is always going to win by default. Now, another thing, your environment, what you have to understand, is three things, and it's not one thing. Right? Most people think their environment is just your room or your city or your parents' house, but it's actually three layers, and we're going to break this down right now in a second. So there's actually the physical environment, right? So an example of this would be your desk. What's in arm reach of you? Your phone. Maybe you have some type of game on your desk, or you get the point, right? And then also like what's in your fridge, okay? And then the next part of the environment is people. And this is like a big one for me, right? Because when you surround yourself by people who have the same exact habits as you, and then like when you're around those people that do those habits, for example, smoking, right? If you surround yourself by a bunch of smokers who you talk to daily, who you hang out with daily, it is going to be very hard, and you are going to be using willpower to fight that urge. So instead, and also who you compare yourself to, right? If you compare yourself to people who you quote unquote want to be like, and they are people who are consistently doing things that you don't want to do, or you're trying to stop doing, then that's another thing, a part of your environment. Now, the third thing is going to be inputs, right? Now, this is what you watch, what you scroll, and what you listen to. Okay. Now, what you listen to is a big thing for me because even still sometimes I struggle, in the gym, right? I'll put on the Rio song, or I'll put on like this rap song, and it's just talking about things that aren't the best to hear. The same exact thing goes for what you watch, right? If you have, a porn addiction, for example, and every time you go on your For You page, it's straight butt, you're scrolling, or OnlyFans girls, you have the choice that you only have to make one time to click that three dots button and say, I don't want to see this content. And then you will basically eliminate the input option. You have the choice to listen to the podcast in the gym instead of putting on the rap song talking about drugs, monies, and hoes, right? So you get the point I'm trying to make across. But what you have to understand is your feed is your environment, right? Nowadays, like, I say nowadays, like I'm older or something, I'm only 20 years old, but we live on our phones more than we actually live in real life. So this has a part of to do with our environment, just because we're constantly on our phones, constantly scrolling. So it's basically programming you to what feels normal, right? And that's why it's a big part of your environment, especially social media, who you compare yourself to, comparing yourself to people who are on steroids, your physique to someone who's on steroids, and then that obviously messes up your psychological, how you view yourself. You have body dysmorphia, etc. Now we're going to be talking about you become what's normal around you. Okay, you don't rise to your goals, you sink to what's normal in your circle. If everyone around you sleeps in, escaping the gym doesn't even feel like a failure. It feels like a random Tuesday, right? And this goes back to, the people that you surround yourself with. So say if you have roommates, for example, and, all of them are sleeping in and you want to start going to the gym early, but all of them are sleeping in, it becomes like normalized, right? This is why you need to surround yourself with people who really have goals for themselves, because as corny as it sounds, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with. I know you've heard that before. And as corny as it sounds, it's actually true, right? If you hang out with 5 drug addicts, you're going to become a drug addict. It's the same concept that applies, right? So on the flip side though, if you put yourself around people where working hard is the baseline, right? You change your sleeping in roommates for roommates who are going to the gym every single day and working their ass off. And then you will stop becoming one of them. You don't need to rely on motivation anymore, because it literally becomes your new normal to rise to the standards of your friend group, right? Your personal example slot, what going to the gym every day did, and it's not about the workout, it's that you surrounded by people who showed up, right? It's never about the workout. It's never about, looking like a crazy, Chris, what's his name? Sebum, trying to be an Olympic champion. It's just simply building up that discipline every single day. At least so that is what it's about for me. And it might be different for you. Maybe you are trying to get that physique, but the point is if you're surrounded by, guys who are not looking like that or don't care about that, then it's going to be very hard to achieve that, right? And that also plays a big part in your environment and who you surround yourself with. Now, we just talked about this a lot, but the phone is the environment that nobody audits, right? You'll clean your room, but you won't clean up your feed. Your room has, socks on it. You leave clothes on the floor. You don't make your bed, right? You'll clean that, right? But when, bad stuff is on your feed, you're not going to clean your feed. You're not going to unfollow accounts that make you feel uncomfortable or bring lust into your mind. And that's the problem that I struggle with for a lot, right? Because I'm over here trying to battle lust, and I'm trying to battle all these things. Maybe I'm trying to battle smoking weed, or for example, but every time I click on my story, my friend's posted up with a blunt in his mouth, right? You might not realize it, but you're using willpower to fight that urge, right? Because you are addicted to it, basically. So once you remove all those things, right? Maybe you unfollow people who post stuff like that, or you unfollow people that post stuff like that. You don't have to see it anymore, and the urge won't pop up in your head, right? Now, the concrete move is phone charges outside the bedroom / apps deleted during work hours, right? For me, for example, if I have my phone on my desk and Claude Code is going, I'm so tempted to just grab it while Claude Code is loading and scroll on Reels. But if my phone isn't on my desk, I give myself no other option but to sit there and wait to stay focused. Because as soon as I go on my phone and I pull up Reels, my mind is in 500 different places and I lose sight of the focus, right? So the friction is the tool, add it to bad habits and remove it from good ones, right? So the things that you want to do, you want to remove the friction from them. And the things you don't want to do, you want to add friction to them, right? And if you don't know what friction is, you can go ahead and check the video I posted 2 days ago explaining how removing friction will completely change your life, but also adding it will change your life as well, right? And it just goes back down to, the first thing that we were talking about is willpower or environment. Now, number 5 is going to be small environment changes and not dramatic ones, right? Because a lot of people here change your environment and think move cities, cut off all my friends, switch up all my day ones. That's honestly stupid, right? You want to start small. Well, maybe it's not stupid in your situation, but And I honestly don't think that's stupid. I actually regret saying that, but you want to start small, right? Maybe you want to go to the gym early, so you remove all friction from you doing it. You hate waking up, putting on your clothes. You know what? I'm gonna lay my gym clothes out the night before. Or the laptop opens to do the work doc, and you don't have YouTube up in another browser because you're constantly clicking it and seeing what videos you can, fill your mind with. Okay. One new room / coffee shop library to work instead from your bedroom, right? Another thing that helped me was, being able to work from places. For example, like my apartment has, a room on the 8th level that I can go there, and none of these distractions are in front of me, right? So maybe like changing your environment to do things. Maybe you want to add the habit of reading, so you add a beanbag in your room, or you go read on the couch, right? You want to have designated places to do designated things, so you won't be prompted to do them in the wrong place. An example of this is, you want to eat at your kitchen table and not your desk. You want to work at your desk. You want to sleep in a bed, and so on and so forth. So hopefully you get the point on that. You want to have designated places to actually do the thing that you're ultimately trying to do. Now, number 6 is going to be a little bit of my personal story. I've shared it on this channel multiple times, but, for the new people. So basically, about a little over a year ago, I want to say, yeah, like a little bit over a year ago, probably closer to 2 years, I just graduated high school, right? I was feeling lost, and essentially I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So, naturally, I come from a good family, right? Both my older sisters are going to college. And I felt like I had big shoes to fill. So obviously I went to college, even though it's not something that I ultimately wanted to do. I just wanted to make my parents proud. And once I actually went to college, I realized it wasn't for me. I was taking a business degree, and I asked my business teacher, like, oh, like, have you ever ran a business before? And obviously the answer was no. Anyways, that's a whole another story. But basically I dropped out of college. I tried to start my own detailing business. And I was actually working, or first I was working a 9 to 5, right? We'll start there. I was working a 9 to 5, going to college, dropped out of college, eventually quit my 9 to 5, started up a detailing business, and then eventually I went all into online money. Now, where does environment play a big role in this, right? That's the whole point of this video. Well, when I was surrounded, at my 9 to 5, I was surrounded by people who were doing all the things that I no longer wanted to do. I wanted to change my life. For example, some of them were smoking, some of them were drinking. And these little dots, I don't know what they are, but hopefully you get the point I'm trying to draw across. So some of them were smoking, some of them were drinking, some of them were just okay with where they're at. Some of them just didn't have any goals for themselves. You kind of get the picture here, right? And when you're surrounded by these people, it is literally impossible to grow. So what did I do? I distanced myself. I found a new friend group over here who, goes to the gym every single day at 5 a.m. Maybe, has goals for themselves, wants to get into online business, interested in business. So you get the point, right? I separated myself from these people and I moved on to these people. Now, the reason why that completely changed my life is because as soon as I changed my environment, I eventually moved out to Miami, and that's when everything started to excel for me, right? I'm originally from California. I was living with my parents. I moved out to Miami. My income 10x. I got in the best shape of my life, and I'm sitting there asking myself, why might that be? Well, it's because I changed my environment and I raised my standards on who I compare myself to. Now I'm not, a fish in a little pond. Now I'm a little fish in a big pond, and I'm comparing myself to these guys that are a lot further than me. So then I therefore took the actions necessary, and I'm in no means, successful or anything like that. But I am on the path there, and this is essentially me documenting my journey. So hopefully that kind of illustrated the point for you. And the main point that I want to use to drive home here is stop asking, how do I get more disciplined? Just ask, what around me is making this hard? Okay. Going back to all the examples that I use, how do I get more disciplined? How do I stop doing this? Just ask yourself, how do I stop making it? How do I make, or what around me is making this hard for me not to do? And then just eliminate all those things, or add friction for you to do those things. And you want to change these things one time, or change that one thing today. And if this is going to be the one video that you watch, make sure that you make that change today. Your environment votes on who you become every single day. So make it vote for you. Okay. And that was my little spiel for today. Now we're going to be moving on to the next segment. This is going to be planning and strategizing. So on the screen here, I have an end-to-end workflow that I actually built out that I've been working on. And see if my draw pen is up. Oh, I don't know where it went. Okay, cool. It's right here. So I built the end-to-end workflow essentially. So what this does, and for all my business owners here, so I'm actively trying to post LinkedIn content. And this just goes back to the concept of me trying to remove all friction, right? So instead of me going to have to look at all these outliers posts and, you know, do all these things, well, now I just have AI do it, right? So essentially what this does is I have 100, you know, outliers in here. It goes them, finds a viral post for me, and then it basically does that weekly, repeats that loop weekly. And then daily at 7 a.m., it actually gets the source post. It writes it into, you know, my voice, how I sound, and this obviously loops, and then it has Claude Code write it, writes the post, saves to this sheet, and then basically at 9 a.m. it starts to post to LinkedIn. So it does this at 7 a.m. and it posts at 9 a.m. This is EST timing, of course, so it reads this, and then it actually generates an image and then writes it in LinkedIn, and then it basically posts it to LinkedIn. So that's something that I've, you know, kind of been building out. Hopefully, you know, that kind of helped you out if you want to start posting content on LinkedIn. But you can build these systems out for literally anything that, you know, adds friction for you to, you know, obviously achieve your goals. And, you know, posting on LinkedIn is a big part of the personal branding. So that's exactly why I built the system to automate it. Now, as far as my growth goes on my business channel, let's refresh it to make sure it's accurate. I'm currently at 193 subscribers, and then we'll go to my studio here. See how the recent videos have been doing. So I'm currently at 193 subscribers. So if we do a little math here, if my goal, it's August 4th right now. If my goal is to get to 300 subscribers, we could do a little math here. In the bar, we'll do 2,000, or we'll do 5,000 minus, or not 5,000, 300 minus 193, that's 107. Okay, so we'll do 107 divided by 26 days left. So I need to roughly gain 4 subscribers every single day for me to hit my 300 goal, and I feel like that's honestly very doable. I just have to start posting more. Okay, now we'll move over to this channel, and the goal is essentially the same, except I'm not at 100. And so this video completely flopped. It was basically me talking about offers. This only has 6 views in 24 hours, I want to say. So that's pretty terrible. But this video is doing pretty good. How I cut about friction. We're not good, but it's doing decent. It's at 72 views right now. I've currently am at 122 subscribers, so we could do the same math. Let's do this. We'll do 300 minus 122. That's 178. And we'll do 178 divided by 26 days in the month. So I need to gain 6 subscribers every single day on this account. And I feel like that's doable, right? All I have to do is just post these videos every single day, provide value, and I definitely feel like that's doable. Now jumping over to Instagram, let's refresh it to make sure this is accurate. Cool. So I'm at 2,935 followers, as you can see here. So we'll do some quick math. My goal is to get to 5,000 by the end of the month, and it is currently August 4th. So we could jump into the bar here and do some quick math. 5,000 minus 2,935. That equals 2,065. We'll do 2,065 divided by 26. So I need to gain roughly 79 followers every single day. And the track that I'm going on, I definitely feel like that's actually doable as long as I don't slow up. I really don't have any leverage room to slow up. And I've been gaining that roughly almost anywhere from like 70 to 100 followers every single day on Instagram. So I just gotta I can't let my foot off the gas. I just gotta continue posting, and I will eventually hit that. We're about to hit 3,000 followers, which is actually pretty cool. Hopefully we can hit that by tomorrow. And we need to hit that tomorrow. We are going to hit that tomorrow. But yeah, that's essentially, the growth for today. If you enjoy these videos at all, click subscribe, leave comments in the description for anything that you have. Eventually these videos are going to be changing. When I have, traction on my channel, I could reply to comments and I'll start the video off with that. But if you guys enjoyed this video, click subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.